Here you go, YouTube. This morning, it's -7 degrees. Coldest morning of the winter, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day. A little bit here, we'll take you outside and we'll show you what we got going on in the greenhouse. There's a picture of the inside of our burn chamber on our rocket mass heater. You've noticed the fire since yesterday evening, since 8 o'clock when it was filled, has pretty much completely burned down. I'm hoping there's a few coals left in there so we can start this up again. Well, there's a little bit of spark. Couple little coals. Not much though. Not much at all. Yesterday I had a pretty decent coal bed, but it was only in the 20s out. It looks like last night's cold sucked the heat right out of this place. So we're gonna have to work on getting it going again. Guess I'm gonna have to show you how to light a fire in a rocket mass heater. Fortunately, there's still some warm air traveling up the flue, so it'll probably light a little better than it does when it's really, really cold. When you light one of these things, you tend to want to have your wood up near the throat, or the part of the horizontal flue that travels towards the secondary burn barrel. If it's really cold, you have to use a very small amount of wood, less than I have in here, if there's no coals at all, and you want to actually have just a very small amount of kindling packed up near that flue, and then once you get it lit, you can actually push it with a stick or something up into the flue pipe to try to carry the hot air towards the secondary burn barrel, because the horizontal flue does make it difficult lighting, but this one shouldn't be too bad because we do have a lot of hot gases still coming out of the pit here. It's still really warm. First thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the bypass so that the hot gases go straight up the chimney. I'm going to close off the loop that takes the gases down under the grow beds, and that'll make a lot stronger draft and make it easier to light this thing. Essentially, I like to usually take a piece of paper, but since I put it all down into the furnace, it makes it a little difficult. So I have to find myself a piece of scrap paper here to get this thing going. I found a piece of cardboard here. I'm going to light the piece of the paper. I tore off the cardboard. I'm going to drop it down into the paper here. See if we can't get things going here. Being that I have a warm pit here, you'll notice that the flames are quickly being drawn into the horizontal tube. This is a lot easier than starting a fire when the pit is cold. When the pit's cold, you really have to pay attention to putting your hot gases into that horizontal flue. But as you see, there's really no smoke exiting the top of this barrel here, and it is just starting to pump instantly out the heat. So we're going to add a little more wood here. And we're going to close this lid and let this thing start to burn. At this point, I'll usually leave a good inch gap in the lid and the actual top of the bunghole of the barrel, so that I'll leave that wide open so it can draw a good amount of fresh air in to get the fire started. So that's basically how we light our stove, and we'll come back in a bit here and we'll refill it with some more wood. I just want to actually check the temperature to show you what the temperature is in the greenhouse. Right now it's minus, as I showed you earlier, it's -7 outside, and our plants still look really nice and healthy. They're coming along nicely. The temperature in the greenhouse, the air temperature, is a chilling 30 degrees. But there's a constant water temperature being kept here. At almost 40 degrees. So that water is 10 degrees hotter than the air inside the greenhouse, and is constantly emitting heat into the greenhouse. The plants can handle, because they're cold weathered plants, they can handle a little bit of below freezing temperatures, and this is pretty much about as cold as it gets around here. You get down to -7, -10. It doesn't tend to get much colder here. At least it hasn't in my lifetime, and that's pretty old. But anyway, I think that you'll see fairly quickly here when we come out to stock the stove again with more wood, that the temperature will quickly start to rise here. In a few minutes the sun will be coming up over here. You can see it kind of peeking through, and that'll also help to burn the frost off of the inside of this place and warm it up pretty quickly. I have to cut some trees down. I've been kind of slow in doing so, but the yeah, really cold in here. All the barrels though, these barrels, you look here, that's water coming out of there. These barrels are full of water, none of them are frozen. They're all doing really well. Water's running, flowing nice through the entire aquaponic system. Keep that water moving, keep that water around 40 degrees and you have no issues. Fish are nice and happy, doing their thing, waiting for springtime here so it can warm up a little bit, so we can try to produce some koi babies. Last year was kind of a dismal failure. First year we only ended up with maybe 50 little ones, and this year we're hoping that we can refine things a little more and produce a little larger amount of baby fish. But as you can see, the water is flowing and doing its thing throughout the greenhouse, and it's actually not, compared to outside, it's pretty comfortable in here. Just give our fire a quick little check here, and it's ripping right along, ripping, and you'll notice no smoke exiting. I'm sure that at this point there could be some gases being released from the stack, maybe some, although I'm not really seeing much from in here. I have to go outside and check it, see what that looks like. We'll give you a look. Well, as you can see, here's the gases being released into the atmosphere from the stove when we first light it. And there's a little bit of smoke, but most of what's coming out of there is water vapor. And in a little while, that'll tend to disappear or dissipate and actually just start having clear coming out of the stack, which we'll show you again in a while.